During the Prime Minister's 2022 budget presentation, he outlined various tax reforms, policy and amnesties which will seek to ease the burden on workers combating higher costs of living. His colleague, Dr. Kenny Anthony, while welcoming the tax reformations, warned against consistently rewarding those who elude the law by failing to pay their taxes. The former Prime Minister hopes that one day a similar olive branch will be extended to those who are strict with their payments.
Some long overdue reforms have been made to the personal income tax regime. Persons who owed taxes prior to 2000 have been forgiven. Penalties and interest on taxes owed by corporations and individuals between 2000 and 2015 will be waived. My only area of concern, Mr. Speaker, is that in this system that we have, we always seem to be rewarding the delinquents. And those who are imprisoned, whose incomes are always seen and controlled, always have to pay the taxes, but somehow those who flout our laws with impunity are the ones who seem to be rewarded. And someday, sometime, as the government reflects on this, I do hope that some concession will also be found to apply to those who have been so faithful to the system that we have created.
Switching his focus to the island's financial institutions, the Vieux Fort South MP lamented that consumers had experienced an unprecedented increase in bank charges in the past few years. While recounting his own experience dealing with financial institutions as a business owner, Dr. Anthony asserted that courage must be summoned to hold banks accountable.
Apart from the occasional complaints by irritated consumers, no one seemed to summon the courage to hold the banks to account. If a client keeps his or her balance below a required amount, charges are levied. It's an amazing thing, you know. It's an amazing thing. You know, Mr. Speaker, if you keep the balance below the prescribed, every time they put I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, it happened to me, you know. I had an account for my firm for which I couldn't get a checkbook from the same bank. So I couldn't get a checkbook to issue checks. And you know, Mr. Speaker, every month they put a charge on the balance so until I had to pay $1,000-something in fees. Imagine that, Mr. Speaker. They'll tell you that was negligent, but I was so fascinated by it.
The Vieux Fort South MP belabored that banking institutions seemingly apply a fee to any service that is required by a customer. He says protective measures must be enacted to guard against exploitation.
If a payment on a loan is late, a charge is levied. That's quite apart from interest, you know, Mr. Speaker. These are serious matters, Mr. Speaker. If, of course, the bank issues a letter to confirm a balance, a charge is levied. If, of course, you issue checks, a service charge is levied. All of those things, that one may be traditional. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that consumers cannot rely on the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to protect them. Very clear. The central bank is not known to treat the protection of consumers as a priority. It's not concerned about that. What it is concerned about is the stability of the currency. It has no time for the users of banking services.
In his passionate appeal to Parliament, the former Prime Minister affirmed that it is time to stop pretending that real problems do not exist in the banking sector. He called for a revision of the existing legislation to protect people from the bank. Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Kareem Nelson.